Hello guys, what's up? It's Luthier with another LCPL live tournament replay. This time we're going to be playing Robjr. Now, Robjr is a pretty good player. He's actually 3-0 just like me in LCPL right now, so it's going to be a good match. He's not an LC main, which is interesting. He's actually a UU main, but regardless, he's a pretty solid overall player, so I'm just going to go ahead and explain my team before we get into the game. So starting off, I wanted to build this team around Pony Mag, which is something I think is very good in the meta right now. Obviously there's Diglett, which is really annoying, but I think it's fairly safe to deal with it. I have the defensive Ponyta running Will-O-Wisp. This set is actually going to be able to 1v1 Onyx, which is kind of insane, but it's just a pretty good fire type with just a good defensive pivot capability, so that's why I wanted to run this set. And then we are running Magnemite with HP Fighting. So HP Fighting is going to be for Poniard. Poniard is really annoying in general for this team to switch into, especially with the Pharaoh Seed as the only real pivot other than Ponyta. And obviously with Ponyta you can get trapped pretty easily with Diglett, so I didn't want to keep my Ponyta as the only check to Poniard, so that's why I'm running HP Fighting on the Magnemite. I am also running Giga Drain on the Pharaoh Seed. So Giga Drain is going to be useful in recovering health back. That's going to be good against things like Onyx, Diglett, Mudbray, and those type of things. And then obviously just running Thunder Wave and Knockoff with Rocks. That's going to be helpful for things to help break with Magnemite, the Knockoff, and then Thunder Wave is going to be nice, so I can outspeed Scarfers and stuff like that. So that's why I'm running the moves I am on Pharaoh Seed. And then with my Vullaby, I'm running the Flyinium Z set. So this is going to be I think one of the coolest sets in the metagame right now. I think it's invented by Serene. It's great, actually. But it's going to be Z on the Brave Bird knockoff, and then Rock Smash and HP Grass. HP Grass is going to be able to hit Onyx, and then Rock Smash is going to be able to hit the Poniard. So a lot of lures on this team, which is kind of cool, but I think it's a pretty fun team. And then we have the standard Spritzy with Covet, which is going to be able to take the Eviolite from Fungus and other annoying mons. And then we have the Eviolite Diglett with Pursuit, which is going to be able to deal with Ghastly, and other Abras. So yeah, that's basically the rundown of the team. So without further ado, let's just accept and see what happens. So have fun. So he is bringing a very interesting team. Now, looking into it, I think Ponyta is absolutely amazing in this team. I think Diglett is also really, really good in this team. It's going to be able to deal with this Ghastly right off the bat, which is really nice. So that's something cool to note. Let's see, what else is there? My Vullaby is going to be really good, especially if rocks are up and I knock off the Spritzy. Let me actually pull up the calcs on this. With the Spritzy, that is against the Vullaby custom set, Fly Z. So knockoff is going to be doing 4 HP, and then after knockoff into my Z move, that's going to be doing 21. So it'll be doing around 25 HP minimum. So after rocks are up, knockoff into the Z Brave Bird, you'll be able to knock out the Spritzy. Sorry, I'm a bit sick right now. Let's see what else is going on. Spritzy is useful for checking the middle 4 right here. I think in this game I have to let my Pharaoh Seed get trapped by the Magnemite, not let it get knocked off, and then reverse trap it with my Diglett. So that'll probably be my win con, and after that I can just spam Flash Cannon with on my own Magnemite, which is nice. So Vullaby is a pretty decent lead. However, I don't want him leading with his Magnemite because that could be annoying. So I'm just going to actually lead off with my Ponyta. That seems like a pretty overall good lead, and that's going to be great for me because I can actually get a Wisp off on this Onyx. Unfortunately, on this team, I do not have a defogger. So once he gets up his hazards, they're going to be there to stay, but he only has rocks, which I think is going to be fine to deal with. So I can just wisp his Onyx right here, and then that should be fine. I think Ponyta actually has a great matchup on this team, but just in general, what is sets, I'm thinking Life Orb, Ghastly, possibly with Sucker Punch. I'm not sure. He's going to be Scarf, Magnemite, regular knockoff Timber, probably regular Onyx. And then I think they're pretty fairly standard sets all around on his team, but they're going to be interesting to deal with. So right here I can go out into my Ferroseed. I don't see a real problem with it. I can get out my own rocks, and if he decides to go Magnemite, that is perfectly fine by me, because that means I can trap his Magnemite. So he goes into his Vullaby, which is an interesting play. Now I can go into my Spritzy, but I don't want it to get knocked off. What? Alternatively, I could make my own Vullaby as a play, because I think he's 100% going for knockoff here. What do we need this Ferroseed for? Ferroseed is good for forcing the trap with Magnemite. I think Spritzy is actually my best play right here. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Spritzy is a fair play, as he just does go for the knockoff. Now, I'm going to go for the Moonblast here, as he does go for the Brave Bird. Now, that does not do that much to me, but I think this should knock him out. No, it doesn't. Jeez. Let's see. Yeah, Spritzy getting lowered is not good at all for me, but I think at this point I have to toss it out the window. I could go Magnemite alternatively, but I don't want that getting knocked off, because that could be really bad if it does get knocked off. So I'm just going to go for the Moonblast here. He could always make the poor play and stay in. Yeah, I didn't really expect them to be defensive set, but I'm just going to go for the Moonblast, as he does predict my Magnemite and go for the knockoff. And that's going to be great, because that allows me to get the chip on Vullaby, meaning the Flash Cannon spam is going to be even better for me. So another thing is Diglett is looking really good as well right now. So he's going to go for the Brave Bird, knock me out, and that's completely fine by me. So this does allow me to go into my Magnemite and click Volt Switch. I could also just go into my Ponyta and click Flare Blitz. That's also a decent option. However, I don't want him to... Yeah, I have a couple of plays here. They all seem kind of weird. I think I'm just going to go into my Magnemite and click the Volt Switch. Or should I just go Ponyta? Because if I go Ponyta and he goes into his Onyx, I think actually Ponyta is the best play here. Because even if he goes into his Onyx, I will be able to recover up on his Onyx outside of crits and stuff like that. He does go into his Onyx, and that's doing 15. Let's see. Onyx to a Ponyta. Custom set, and it is burnt. Oops. Burnt. So, yeah, Rock Blast with 3... That's doing way too much. I'm at, what, 72. So, 4 hits. Because he's doing 3 almost every time. So, he needs 5 hits, I believe. 5 hits, yeah, in order to knock me out. I think I'm safe enough to... My Ferroseed is actually pretty obvious too. I think I'm just going to go for the Morning Sun, as he does go into his Magnemite. I think I'm just going to make the Horsepower play. Actually, no. I'm going to go for a Will-O-Wisp again. Just in case he decided to go into his Timber, which could be annoying. This time I'm going to make the Ferroseed play and kind of hope. Okay, so he went into Magnemite predicting me to go into my Ferroseed, which is a pretty solid play. But I'm going to go into my Ferroseed this time, as he goes for his Earthquake, and I'm going to get my own rocks up. Now, this will be good because it'll be able to not... That means his Vullaby is out of play, and his Spritzy would be able to go down to everything that I mentioned earlier. So now I I think he's just probably going to go for the Drain Punch, so I'm just going to make the Ponytail play right here. Although it sucks that I'm taking all this rocks damage, I should be fine. And he does get burned, which is really, really nice. I don't think... with Timber, I don't believe that Drain Punch into Mach Punch was able to knock me out. He needed like pretty high rolls. He got the 10 HP roll, and then... Oh, he actually did knock me out. Okay, that was pretty bad misplay. I got rewarded, but yeah, I'm just gonna go for the Morning Sun right here, as he does go for the knockoff, which is smart. I'm gonna just keep on recovering up here. Now his Onyx is annoying for me to deal with, but I think it is still manageable. Keeps on going for Drain Punch. I think my way of winning this is just with my Magnemite, so I gotta play into that and see how that goes. So I'm gonna click the Flare Blitz here, try to get as much damage off as I can on this Timber, as he makes a very smart play and goes into his Onyx. Now, I see him making a couple plays here. I can go into my Diglett. Let me check the calcs on that. Diglett, custom set, Onyx. And if he's burnt, oops. If he's burnt, then Earthquake is doing next to nothing, and I see him going in for Rock Blast, or he's doubling out into Timber, which still is burnt. So I think Diglett is a fine play here, as he does go into Magnemite. I make the good mid ground there, and I don't think anything he goes for is able to knock me out. Let's see. Yeah, nothing he goes for can knock me out, so I'm just going to go for the Earthquake here, as I can knock out the Magnemite, which is really, really great for me. So, he doesn't have that many options left. My Magnemite is in great shape right now, and in addition to that, I also still have a very healthy Ferroseed with Berry Juice, so that can be very nice in the later game. So I'm actually going to save this Diglett because it can do a wide range of things, and one of them is basically trapping the Ghastly. So I'm going to run some calcs real quick. I think sacking Ponyta is actually... Actually, I think sacking Diglett is fine because I still have ways to outspeed this Ghastly, and I want to get Chip on this Timber, so that is a fine play there. Now I'm actually going to go into my Vullaby right here, and going to go for the HP Grass directly. I don't have time to think, but his options right here are to go into Spritzy or into his Onyx. Actually, I'm just gonna go for the HP Grass. I think at this point you should be sacking your Onyx because it doesn't really do much else in this game. Obviously, it is your Volt Switch stopper, but with most of your Mons crippled, I think your play is probably just to stack Onyx. Alternatively, I could go for the knockoff, but I'm just gonna click the HP Grass, which is going to be the safer play. Besides with Timber, he can't really do much to me, so yeah, I guess HP Grass is fine. Actually, I'm just gonna go for I know I'm being indecisive here, but yeah, his play was probably just to sack the Vullaby anyway, so which is completely fine by me. So at this point, Flash Cannon is looking like a pretty big sweep. I'm going to make the Ponyta play because I don't think he knocks me out. Let's see, Spritzy, doing to a Ponyta, custom set without a Violate. It's doing 40, and the max roll, yeah. So I think Ponyta is a fine play here. I don't think you should knock me out unless you get max roll, and he fortunately gets the crit there. But that means I can just go out into my Magnemite and go for the Flash Cannon. And let's see how much Magnemite does to a Ghastly. It's going to knock it out half the time after rocks, which is annoying. So that means and he goes into his Timber. Now, this is revealed already to not be Guts. So how much is Timber doing once it's burned? The only way I lose at this point is if it's Scarf, HP Fire, Ghastly, I believe. And even if that's the case, I still have my own Volibee to check that. So I think I can actually safely click Flash Cannon here. Oh, actually, it does not knock it out. So I think at this point I have to go for it because the roll is significantly in my favor. So I should actually click Flash Cannon. He can't knock me out with Drain Punch fully, so I can still soft check it through those means. Yeah, as I do get the roll. So the only way I lost is if he got the 1 in 4 roll, which was still significantly in my favor. So that was the only way I lost. So now I still have to go for Flash Cannon, because even if I leave it at 1 HP, the only way I lose is if he goes for a Life Orb hit. And so I'd be able to bring it down to 1 HP with my Flash Cannon against the Ghastly, and then that would basically knock itself out with the Life Orb. And once that happens, I can go into Pharaoh Seed, Thunder Wave, knockoff, and then knock out the Spritzy with Brave Bird into Z Brave Bird. So basically, that was my game plan. I know it was really rushed at the end because I was kind of running low on the time, but now that we have a little more time, I want to go back and explain my thought process. So starting back from the top, I did mention that Ponyta was really good in this game. The only problem was the fact that I didn't get any of my rocks up, or he got his rocks up really fast, and that essentially meant that my Ponyta was pressured every single time it came in. So I do go for Will-O-Wisp turn 1, and that's basically supposed to be how I deal with Onix. And being able to cripple the Onix therefore meant that I could freely Volt Switch with my Magnemite without being punished. So once he brought in, once he let his Onix get burnt, that means Magnemite can Volt Switch, and even if he went into his Onix, I always have Pharaoh Seed as a pretty safe play. So that being said, I do go into my Pharaoh Seed in turn 2 just to get up my rocks, and now I don't want my Pharaoh Seed to get knocked off. The reason for that is because if Pharaoh Seed gets knocked off, then Magnemite has a chance to Volt Switch without getting reverse trapped by Diglett. So that means basically I want Robjr to bring his Magnemite in on my Pharaoh Seed and then use HP Fire. That way I can use my Diglett to trap the Magnemite and therefore freely click Flash Cannon. So that was my thought process there. Second thing, from there on, I decided that's the reason I didn't want my Pharaoh Seed to get knocked off. The next thing that happened as a result was me going into Spritzy. This could have been played out differently. I could have gone out into my Volibee, but I didn't know what set his opposing Volibee was, so I decided to just go out into my Spritzy, and he just goes for the knockoff, which is fine. Now, I was already like at 150 seconds, and that's basically because I spent so much time in the preview, but that's why I probably should have just calced, but let's see. We obviously know it's Overcoat Volibee now. Spritzy, which does almost nothing to me after being knocked off, but I, in return, don't do that much to him. So, as we see here, he does go for the knockoff into Brave Bird, which does 44. That should indicate to me right away that he's basically this set. And then he's sitting at 84, so Moonblast would probably have knocked him out. Let's see. Actually, I'm not sure. He's at 84. Yeah, so okay, never mind. So he would probably live most scenarios at 1 HP, which he didn't. Yeah, I got the min roll there, which is fine, but let's see, he recovered up. The problem with that is because of the min roll there, that means when he went for the knockoff predicting my Magnemite there, I was not able to knock him out with Moonblast. So that's basically why the min roll in the first turn sucked. But he just goes for the revenge kill on through Brave Bird with that. And then I go into my Ponyta. I had a couple options here. Again, going back, I could have gone into my Diglett, I could have gone into my Magnemite, and I could have gotten into my own Volibee. But the problem with all those things is that it invites in other people. So if I went into Magnemite and Volt Switched, it possibly could have invited in the Onix, which could have potentially been annoying. If I went into my Diglett, I knocked this out with Pursuit or Rock Slide or whatever, but it invited in Timber, and I had no fighting resist at that point, so which was really annoying. And then I do have my Ponyta, which could have gone in. Alternatively, I could have gone Volibee here. The problem is I didn't want to reveal that I was Core Breaker, and that could have been annoying. Also, if I went Volibee there, it invited in Onix. And my only answer to Onix at that point was basically my Ferroseed, and Ferroseed again invited in Timber. So I wanted to bring Ponyta in because it was the only reliable answer. So again, going to Ponyta, I clicked Flare Blitz, which is fine. Now, as I showed in the calcs, the only way I was knocked out is if you got 5 hits. And I know the play isn't completely to make risky plays, but I felt like I was in a position that I should have just gone for the Morning Sun because the Ferroseed was kind of obvious. So I could have alternately just gone for the high horsepower, but I decided to make the Morning Sun play here. So he cannot Volt Switch or Flash Cannon here because both of them are quite risky plays on his part, so he is forced to go out into Onix again. I could have made a more aggressive play here and gone for high horsepower, but had he clicked Volt Switch and had he gone Onix after on the high horsepower, I could have been in a bad position because I would have been at low HP, and the Onix would have been faster because of weak armor. So decided just to make the safer play and go for the Will-O-Wisp. Now, the Will-O-Wisp was basically supposed to be able to cover the Timber in case if you went to into that, or if you wanted into the Spritzy, or any mon in general. Even if you went into Onix, that allowed me to make the play I made right here. So on his side, he's noticing that this Onix can't really beat this Ponyta 1v1, and he's assuming that I'm just going to switch out into Ferroseed. Now, I can make a couple of plays here. He's basically staying in with Onix, or he's going into Magnemite. Both of which plays are covered by this Diglett. So that's why I made the Diglett play. Oh, what? I made the Ferroseed play. Okay, that was the second time. Yeah. So he went for Earthquake here, which is a safe play, and I went to Ferroseed because I wanted to get rocks up. Sorry, that was my bad. But by going into Ferroseed, I was able to get my rocks up, but it invited in Timber, which is obviously really annoying. So at that point, I had just gone into my Ponyta. Now this is where I played kind of poorly. I should have just sacked my Volibee, or sacked something that seemed pretty useless in the rest of the game. Now Volibee wasn't completely useless. It was a fact that I didn't know when I could bring it in. The rocks were already up, so the Volibee was gone. Volibee doesn't really come in on Timber, and he doesn't really switch into Magnemite. It doesn't deal with Onix that well, other than the HP Grass, but and then it doesn't switch into Ghastly either, especially since I'm minus special defense. I definitely get knocked out by Ghastly. So I should have just gone and sacked my Volibee and then gone to Ponyta after that. That was probably my one misplay looking back at this game. So I somehow got bailed, as I do get the burn. Now let me just run these Ponyta calculations back again. So the only way I was getting knocked out is if he got the regular roll into the Mach Punch. So basically, I just completely missed the fact that I thought that Ponyta was able to survive a Drain Punch into a Mach Punch, and that was my bad completely. I should have probably just calced that, but he gets burnt, which is really nice, and I'm able to Roost up, or Morning Sun up, and he goes for a knockoff, which means I'm slightly more weak to Magnemite, but that's okay. So he keeps on going for Drain Punch here, and he makes a very smart play by going into Onix here, which basically, he predicted me not to heal up there and then go for Flare Blitz, but that was smart, and that basically means I have to switch out my Ponyta. So I kind of figured that he would double here, because if I went to Ferroseed, that was a problem for him, because I basically get a free knockoff, and obviously he could have just sacked Volibee at that point, but he probably just didn't want me getting that momentum. So by that, for that reason, he predicted the Ferroseed, and I thought it was very likely that he'd predict something, so I made the Diglett play. As I mentioned earlier, the Diglett play covered him staying in with Onix, because again, I'm Eviolite and he's burnt, so he's doing like 30% to me, which is completely fine. or he was going into Magnemite, and I predict that, and I cover the double into Diglett, and I am able to knock this Magnemite out with my Earthquake. So that's really nice. And he goes into his Timber now. As I said earlier, I probably should have sacked Vol here, kept Ponyta, because Ponyta is actually basically the fastest team on fastest mount on the field outside of the Magnemite. So Ponyta was able to deal with his Spritzee, his Timber, his Onix, and his Ghastly. So I should have probably just kept Ponyta and just sacked his Vullaby. Sacked my Vullaby, but I sacked my Diglett, which is also completely fine. Now, I go into Vullaby here, and I remember I was being really indecisive. I had 30 seconds left. I could have predicted the Onix, but I should have noticed that the Vullaby was already at such low HP, and that he was going to sack that anyway. So he does sack his Vullaby as I go for the knockoff. Yeah, so he goes into his Spritzee here. Now, again, I don't know why I risked my Ponyta. I was just so low on, like, time that I wasn't really thinking straight, but with my Eviolite knocked off, he was doing 28 to me max. So after I switch into rocks, basically I'm at 38, which means even with a crit, I'm pretty sure you need a high roll. Oh, okay, it's a regular roll, but he needed exactly a crit in order to knock my Ponyta out. So that was probably the first misplay. I think knocking off the Spritzee was fine. I don't really, as you saw later, I didn't really need the Vullaby for much else. But yeah, knocking off the Spritzee was fine with my Vullaby. So unfortunately, I get crit by the Spritzee. I didn't really have time to discuss it. I kind of just let it go because I was so low on time at that point. It was like right here, I'm done in 5 seconds. But I do have Magnemite, which is pretty free. Let's see. He goes Onix here as I go for Flash Cannon because Flash Cannon's pretty straightforward. Now he goes into his Timber. As I said earlier, Timber, even with my Magnemite, not modest, I believe. Yeah, so I'm doing 12 most of the time, and this is assuming that he is the max. He's a 12 special defense set, so a lot of people really don't run this set. I think I'm one of the, I'm like a minority in the sense that runs this set more often. But if he was the regular 10 special defense set, I basically knocked him out all of the time. So that's something I probably should have accounted for when looking at this. But if he was the 12 special defense set, I still knocked him out 3 out of the 4 times because he needed a 4 out of 16 roll for him to live. And even if he did live, he was burnt, meaning that his Drain Punch was not going to be able to knock me out. So because his Drain Punch was not going to be able to knock me out, I could just go into my Vullaby at that point, and then go for the Z Brave Bird to knock something out. So that's basically my thought process on that. And then following that, I do get the roll there. And then he goes into his Ghastly. Now, I know I was pretty jumbled when I was trying to explain this, but let me go over it one more time. So, as I said earlier, he is almost 100% Life Orb. Like, I don't see people running Scarf Ghastly in this meta, but he basically lives 50% of the time, and that's assuming that he's not a Sucker set or whatever set he is. And if he does live, that means I have to get a 16 roll. And after Rocks had already done damage to him, so it already had done 2 HP damage. It had done 1. So essentially what I was saying is he needed to get the half roll, and then after Life Orb damage should be able to knock him out. So if he were to set up a substitute on my switch to Ferroseed, things could have gone wrong. So that's why I didn't switch to Ferroseed right there. I just went for the Flash Cannon. Now, Flash Cannon is going to be able to knock him up 50% of the time after Rocks. And if it doesn't, he's basically going to drop to the recoil from Life Orb. And that means I can go to my Ferroseed on his Spritzee and go for knockoff. Thunderwave and knockoff. And that means my Brave Bird, Z Brave Bird from my Volbeat should be able to knock it out. So I know this game was kind of messy in the sense that no one really understood what I was saying because one, I'm sick, and two, I kind of lost my train of thought with such little time left. But I hope you guys understood what I was trying to say, and hope you guys enjoyed this game versus Rob Jr. So I will see you guys next week. I do not know who I'll be playing, but I hope you guys, again, I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you next time.